guys, Ms. Nguyen here with our simple interest notes. Let's go ahead and get right to it. This is the beginning of our financial literacy / money unit. Okay, so hopefully this is the part where I don't have any students asking like, when are we going to use this in real life? Well, we're talking about money and everybody uses money, so all the time. Okay, so interest, we need to talk about what that is. Interest is the money you owe when borrowing or are paid when lending money to others. A lot of people think about interest as just money that you owe, like on a credit card or something, but interest can also be money that somebody pays to you. So when you deposit your money into a savings account, the bank takes your money and that's what they use to lend to other people or invest and do whatever other stuff. And so as a reward or in exchange for letting them use your money, the bank pays you interest. Usually it's not very much, like 1.5% is considered a very high interest rate for a savings account, but still, it's more money than you would get if you just left your money in a jar under your bed, so there's that. So there's two different types of interest. There's simple interest and compound interest. We'll get into compound interest next week, so today our focus is on simple interest. Okay, so simple interest is earned or owed based only on the principal. And that's principal with a P-A-L, not P-L-E. Principal, which is the original amount deposited in the account. So like when you open your bank account and you deposit $1,000, that $1,000 is the principal. Or, in terms of debt, if you, buy a PlayStation 5 for $500 and you charge that $500 onto your credit card, that $500 is the principal too. So it just depends on the situation. Okay, so there's a couple of different places that you can find simple interest in real life. Usually it's used for stuff that's really expensive. So for example, mortgages. Mortgage. To write this mortgage. So that's for housing. So house payment. That's what a mortgage is. It's basically just a loan for a house. Car payments. And furniture or appliance financing. Okay, so these are all things that are relatively expensive. And so with simple interest, you know how much the thing costs, and then based on your credit score and some other things, they decide on what interest rate you're going to have. So you know that every month when you're paying for your house or your car or your sofa or whatever, you're paying the same amount. This is different with compound interest, because with compound interest, it's not only the principal that gets charged interest. Every time it gets compounded, hence the name, they add interest to the principal, and so eventually you're paying interest on the interest. Whereas with simple, you only ever pay interest on that principal, which in most cases is like the cost of whatever it is you're borrowing money to get. Okay, so let's look at the formulas for simple interest now. We have two. This first one says I equals P times R times T. This formula is given to you. Okay, this is on your formula sheet. Don't have to worry about memorizing it. This second one is not given to you. You will have to memorize this one. I do think it's a little bit common sense, which you'll understand hopefully here in a second when we talk about it. I don't think it's a difficult formula to remember. It's just more in the heat of the moment sometimes. I think it's easy to kind of freeze and blank out and forget it. But hopefully once we go through it and you practice, it's not too bad. Okay, so like I always say, you need to understand these formulas in order to use them. There's no point in having them if you don't know what all the letters stand for and stuff, so go through this, okay? So, the I, as you can probably guess, stands for interest. So this is the interest owed or earned, depending on the situation. Okay, so this is in dollars, of course. The P stands for principal. But another word I want you to think about, because it will come up a lot, is the word deposit. So a lot of times in these problems, they're not going to say the principal was $20 or whatever. They will say so-and-so deposited $500 into the account. So you're supposed to understand from that key word, deposit, that that is talking about the principal. So this is also in dollars. Next we have R, which stands for rate. Specifically, it is the interest rate. Interest rate. Okay, put a star here. This always has to be a decimal. Okay, so if they give it to you as a percentage, which they will, okay, divide the percent by 100 to get the decimal. T stands for time. Time is always going to be in years for these formulas, so it's going to be the same when we do compound. It's going to be in years. So if they give you months, if given months, right? How many months in a year are there? There's 12. So if you're given months, you want to divide this, divide by 12. Okay. Finally, last letter, we have a big capital A. This stands for account balance. We also know this as total, or they might call it total balance. Close enough. This is also in dollars. It would be if I could draw this symbol. Dollars. Okay, so since A means total or account balance, this is really just saying that the account, total is equal to principal plus interest. Okay, that makes sense. Somebody wants to know how much money is in your bank account, like total amount of money in your bank account. You would think, okay, well, I deposited $1,000 into this bank account, and then the bank paid me $100 in interest. So I should have $1,100 in my bank account now. You add those two numbers together to get total. Right? So hopefully that makes logical sense to you. Okay, well, now that we know what these letters are, let's go ahead and look at these problems down here. I'm going to do number 1 and number 2 with you, and then 3 and 4 will be your independent practice. I will put up the answers just so you can check with yourself to see if you did it correctly. But again, as usual, I highly recommend you go through this on your own. Make sure you follow all of the steps, and then you can check yours against the answers that I give. Okay, so number 1 says a $1,000 deposit for 25 years at a simple interest rate of 2%. And then they want to know the interest earned, right? So that's I. And they want to know the account balance, that is A. So we're going to find I and A for this particular scenario. Okay, so I'm going to show you 2 different ways to show work on this problem, or these kind of problems. First way, straightforward, we're just going to annotate and label everything in the problem. So you can underline. I had multiple students today highlight instead, so whatever works for you. Going to underline mine. Okay, so $1,000 deposit. Well, that keyword deposit tells us that this is our principal, P. This says 25 years. Years already kind of lets you know this is time. This is T. Finally, we have a simple interest rate of 2%. They even tell us rate of 2%, so this is R. Okay, we do have to change this R into a decimal. So we have 2%. Change this into a decimal by doing 2 divided by 100. This is where we would need our Desmos here. We just do 2 divided by 100, and we get 0.02. Another way you guys can do this, which some of you hopefully know already, is you can move the decimal point. So this is 2%, right? So say the decimal point is here right now because it's 2. We can move this 2 spaces to the left, fill in this part with a 0, right? So we end up with 0.02 also. So you'll get the same answer no matter what. But that 0.02 is going to be our rate. Okay, well, now we're ready. Time is already in years, so we don't have to do anything extra with that. So we're just going to put these into our formula now. I equals P times R times T. Let me zoom in on this. P times R times T. Okay, so we're just going to plug in our numbers. So P is 1,000, R is 0.02, and T is 25. So we get to just put all of this into the calculator, right? So 1,000 times 0.02 times 25, and we get 500. that means the interest earned, because that's I, our interest earned is $500. Okay, so now, in order to get the account balance, well, that's our second formula. A equals P plus I. Okay, P is 1,000. I is 500. Hopefully y'all can do this one in your head. 1,000 plus 500 is 1,500. So that is our account balance. That's how much is in the bank account after we earned that $500 in interest and made that little deposit. Okay? So, now let's look at number 2. It's kind of the same, but also kind of different at the same time. Number 2 says a $500 deposit for 72 months at a simple interest rate of 1.5%. So I'm going to show work differently this time. Instead of just labeling the problem, I'm going to write everything out. Later, when we get to more complicated problems or like comparison problems, it'll be nice to have everything laid out. We'll set up some columns, so this is kind of preparing for that. Okay, so again, this is our formula, I equals PRT. So those are the 3 things we need. We need P, we need R, we need T. Okay, so P is 500 because it says $500 deposit. R is 1.5%, which we are then going to change into a decimal. So we can either do 1.5 divided by 100, or we could do 1.5, move the decimal point twice to the left. Right, so anyway, we get 0.015. T, this is 72 months. So that means that in order to get this in years, which is what we need, we're going to take this 72 divided by 12. Maybe you know your times tables already and know what this is. If not, you can put it into Desmos. No shame here. 72 divided by 12 gets you 6. So it's 6 years. Well, now we have all of our stuff ready, so we're going to plug in our numbers. So P is 500, R is 0.015, and T is 6. So we are going to then put these into Desmos. Okay, 500 times 0.015 times 6. We get 45. That's not a whole lot of money, I guess. But you only put $500 in there, so if you think about it as a percentage, $45 is quite a bit of money. It's $45. So the account balance, oops, forgot to put that there. So the account balance, A is P plus I. Okay, P is 500, I is 45. So this is just 545. Not too bad, right? Okay, so I'm going to let you do number 3 and number 4 on your own. So I would pause the video right here, and then I'm going to write just the answers down here. Okay. Okay, I hope you paused. So number 3, the interest earned is supposed to be $1,360, and the account balance is supposed to be $4,760. Most common mistakes I see are that students tend to forget to change the interest rate into a decimal. I've also seen a few kids today take this 10 and divide it by 12 because they forget. You only have to do that if they give it to you as months. Okay, so those are the most common mistakes. So if you got a really big number, like you got this, but with 2 more zeros at the end, that's probably a clue that you forgot to change your rate. Okay, number 4, the interest earned is supposed to be $97.65. The account balance is supposed to be $797.65. Okay, so hopefully you got that. If not, if you don't immediately understand what your mistake was, and it's not one of the ones that I just mentioned, feel free to ask me, tell me to look it over, and I'll see. Okay? All right, let's move on to the next page. Okay? Sometimes a simple interest problem will need you to find P, R, or T instead of finding A or I. So in those instances, we're going to use this pyramid to help us. So let's fill in this pyramid. Put I at the top. I equals P times R times T. So this is our simple interest pyramid. To use the simple interest pyramid, we are going to cover up the letter of the pyramid that you are trying to find. So the letters that are left over will show you how to set up the formula. Normally, I would just cover this with my hand, but since y'all wouldn't be able to see that very well, I'm going to use one of these cami stickers to cover it up. So I'll show you here how to do that. So for example, it says Roberto deposited some money into an account that earns 4% simple interest. Okay, 4% is our R. After 5 years, here's T, he has earned $800 in interest. That's I. How much money, that's our question, how much money did Roberto originally deposit into the account? Okay, so we need to think about what the problem wants us to find. Well, the question says how much money did he originally deposit? Okay, deposit tells us this is going to be P, so that means the unknown that we don't have is P. So this is how we are going to figure out what formula we're supposed to use. Okay. So I'm going to use this sticker. Let's pretend that it's my hand, or you can use your middle finger and index finger to cover up the letters, whatever works. I'm just going to use this as a metaphor. Okay. Well, we're trying to find P, so we're going to cover up P on the pyramid, and what's left over is going to tell us the formula we need to use. So when we cover up P, we have I on the top and R and T on the bottom. So that means our formula is P equals I divided by R times T. Okay, so depending on what you need to find, you're going to cover up different stuff. So like, let's say we get a problem where we have to find T, cover up the T, so it would be T equals I divided by P times R. R is equal to I divided by P times T. Or even our original formula, I equals P times R times T. So all of that is used with this little pyramid here. So if you're taking the test, you can always jot your little pyramid over in the corner, and that'll really help you out. Okay, so with that knowledge, let's go ahead and solve these problems together. Okay, number 1 says, Angel deposited $3,000 into an account that earns 5% simple interest. After some years, Angel has earned $1,500 in interest. How long was Angel saving his money? Okay, it's $3,000. It says deposited, so this is P. 5%, that's our rate. Angel has earned $1,500 in interest, that is I. So how long was Angel saving his money? This is what they want us to figure out. This is T. So just like earlier, we take this, we cover this up. T is equal to I divided by P times R. Okay, so T equal to I divided by P times R. So we need I, we need P, we need R. Well, we have that and it's all labeled. Okay, so I is 1,500. P is 3,000. And R is 5%. Oh, here we go. Got to stop. R equals 5%. So we can change this. If it's 5% like this, move the decimal point over twice. So we get that R is equal to 0.05. Get in the habit of changing those rates. Okay, because if you leave it as a regular whole number, you're going to get a very big answer that's not the correct one. I'm going to put this into Desmos. Okay. Nice thing is we can use the fraction button for this. So we push this little fraction button. We put 1,500 on the top. 3,000 times 0.05. Don't forget that extra 0 there. Otherwise, this would be 50% interest. That's too much. So we do this. We get 10. 10 years. Because time is always going to be in years, so that ends up being our final answer right there. Not too bad, right? Okay, last one. Once again, similar but different. It says Cindy deposited $600 into an account that earns simple interest, and after 4 years, the total value of the account was $672. What was the interest rate? Okay, here it is again, deposit to an account that earns simple interest, 4 years, so this time they gave us the time. Oh, this time they gave us the time. The total value of the account was $672. This is the tricky part. We see the word total right here. So this 672 is not I, this is A. Then they want to know the interest rate, so we are trying to find R. Okay, so come back to our pyramid. Okay, R is equal to I divided by P times T. Just have to cover that up. Uh-oh. We're running into a bit of a problem here. We can't do this, can we? Because we don't know what I is. Sounds weird to say I is, but you know. We don't know what I is. So this is where we're going to use that nice little formula from up here. A equals P plus I. To find out. So we know A equals P plus I. Well, we know A is 672. We know P is 600. So we need to think, okay, what do we add to 600 to get 672? If you don't know off the top of your head, we can treat this like a little equation like this. This goes away because 600 minus 600 is 0, so we're left with I equals 672 minus 600. Oh, it's 72. So now we have I. Now that we have that, we can go ahead and use our formula here. So R equals I, which is 72, divided by P, which is 600, times T, which is 4 years. So we can plug this in here. 72 becomes a fraction, right? So 72 divided by 600 times 4 gives us 0.03. Okay, but our interest rate needs to be a percentage. So now we're kind of going backwards. Instead of taking a percent and changing it into a decimal, we're taking a decimal, changing it into a percent. So two ways to do that. Either we can multiply this by 100 because we're doing the opposite. Instead of dividing by 100 to get the decimal, we multiply by 100 to get the percent. We could do it that way. We could also take this and move the decimal point to the right instead. Either way, we end up with our answer of 3%. Okay, and that's really all there is to it. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Don't forget to write your little summary there at the bottom. We're going to practice this a bunch. All right. Okay, that's about it for this video. I will see you guys in class.